Hello friends, welcome to the Jazz Ranch. And during this tumultuous and difficult times in our lives, I want to remind you that there is always optimism. And that is in our subconscious mind, not in our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is apt to be more pessimistic. But I'm going to give you something from Cannonball Adderley. In his recording, Mercy, 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 in 1966, he said this to his audience. It was a live audience. He says, you know, sometimes we're not prepared for adversity. And when it happens, sometimes we're caught short. We don't know exactly how to handle it when it comes up. Sometimes we don't know just what to do when adversity takes over. And I have advice for all of us. I got it from my pianist, Joe Zawinul, who wrote this song, and it sounds like what you're supposed to say when you have that kind of a problem. And it's called Mercy, Mercy, Mercy. Starting out, I just want to say that this lesson has a lot to do with the aspect of changing the way you're playing the piano from chords in the left hand and melody in the right hand to the opposite take of it, in which the chords are in the right hand and the bass line is in the left hand, which is usually what you do when you're playing, say, pop music or funk music or something in which you want to have a bass line going in your left hand, such as accompanying a singer and you're just, or a singer or horn player and there's no bass player. So you want to play the bass line. Now I played the bass line in this particular case, even though I had a bass player on the backing track, because I wanted to show you how you would do this in a solo situation. Now in a trio situation, you might not play the same way. You might have not the bass line, but it doesn't mean you're restricted to not playing a bass line. If you want to play a bass line, play a bass line. If it interferes with the bass player, then you can deal with that, and he'll deal with that, and you'll figure it out. But either way, you know, it's not a hard, fast rule that you can never play bass lines when you're playing with a bass player. I don't believe that is true. You know, you can stay out of his way. You can play it up here. The bass player may be down in this lower register. You could be up here and it's okay, as long as you're matching and you're linking up together. But the other thing is that I want to talk about how you translate the melody that you're playing in the right hand and the chord in the right hand from the left hand chord. In other words, the harmony is always in the, you know, most cases in beginner jazz, we have this thing where we have chords up here. We have in the lower register, we have chords with melody up here. That kind of thing. Now we're doing something where we're going to have the chords up here. Now you may actually simplify the chords like I was doing. I was just playing 3-note chords up here, but that's enough. That's just a 2-note chord there. I'm adding the harmony, so I'm adding 1 or 2 notes of harmony in the right hand. And so you have to know how to translate the left hand harmony to the right hand, and at the same time keeping the melody note on top. So you need to practice your inversions, right? So the first chord is C, you know. So now we have, actually it's an F chord with a C in the bass, but that's all I'm doing there. So I'm starting with the F chord to the C chord, then to the F chord. So it's a C in the bass with an F chord going to a C chord. The E comes in there in the bass line. Then you have a sort of like an F6 there. Then you have a G chord with a suspended fourth in it there. G sus9 there, really, if you reduce it down to what it really is. So learning to transfer the left hand to the right hand is a very important thing to learn to do in playing the piano. And I have a variety of videos on that, as well as it's covered in my book quite extensively, because I talk about the 3 techniques of where you have the chord in the left hand, where you have the chord in the right hand, and when you have the chord spread out, like, you know, spread out between the 2 hands. Now I want to talk about the rhythm. That's the next step. Now, talking about the rhythm, and that's how you're keeping the beat flowing between the 2 hands, and how the 2 hands are coordinated. Now, I remember when I was a kid learning to play piano, and my teacher, my first teacher, taught me to play like, you know, something simple in the right hand. They taught me to play something like this, or whatever it was. But anyway, then he told me, now that you've learned the right hand part and you learned the left hand part, now you have to put the 2 together. I said, well, that's not possible. I can't do that. He said, you can do it. You just have to practice it. So what is the way of practicing it? Well, you have to practice both hands separately, of course. You know, you have to practice. Now, that means that if you're counting it, and you have to count, you have to count the rhythm. 1, 1, 2, and is in the right hand. But in the left hand, you might have 1, and right on the beat, like 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and. So you have to have. So you have to have. They're not coordinating. Now you could go like this. You could go like that, but you want to get independence between the 2 hands rhythmically. Now this is one of the most difficult things to learn early on if you're a beginner. Even in an intermediate and advanced, it's always the hand independence is one of the unique things about the piano that no other instrument has. I can't think of any, well, you know, maybe guitar on certain levels, of course organ, but that's the same thing as a piano. But no other instrumentalist has to deal with breaking down it into between your mind to think of the left hand separate and the right hand is separate. In other words, you know, like that. In other words, this is actually on the beat and this is off the beat. 1, 2, and that's off the beat. That's ahead of the beat. So I'm playing on the downbeat in the left hand and I'm playing on the upbeat in the right hand. How do you do that? Well, you have to reduce it to something in which you play both hands separately, one hand at a time, and then put them together at a very slow speed and count. And if it helps you to look at the music paper, look at the music sheet written out so you can get that, then that's useful. So we'll take a look at that. Now I should say that this is a feeling thing. In other words, rhythm is something that you feel. You know, and some people have it innately and other people don't. So, you know, it may be more difficult for you, so you're going to have to really study this in depth if it's difficult for you. But it was difficult for me to get this, to grasp this thing, so I had to practice. So that's like 1. So you might go like this. Just play downbeats down here. Now that may be difficult for you to play a syncopated rhythm. Syncopation is really when you're playing off the beat. You're accenting off the beat like 1, 2, and. That and is emphasized. It's accented. So this is a good way to maybe start out playing that way. Just play right on the beat like this, or even like. Like that maybe. It's actually sort of difficult to me to figure out how to show you this because I'm so used to playing that way that it's almost difficult to think of how it was before I learned how to play that way, if you get my drift here. So I'm going to try to go into it a little more in depth. Here we go. So I'm going to try to set the metronome to the right tempo here now. See it? Keep it there. Like. You have to get that, it's important to get the left hand and grounded with the metronome, that you're like, okay. Before you do the right hand. See how it's happening? Now, the thing is, once you get this or understand this, through practice, I can guarantee you that this will be a tremendous breakthrough for you, and you will start to enjoy music on a much higher level. Because that is what a pianist does. A pianist plays rhythm, melody. It's the only instrument that can play all the things that we can play as pianists. In other words, play melody, chords, harmony, tempo, you know, be in the groove, you know, and everything else that's involved in it. It is a wonderful thing. The piano is a wonderful thing for learning music, no matter what instrument you play. If you play saxophone or trumpet or drums or whatever you play, you'll benefit by learning piano, learning chords, learning how to play and get the two hands coordinated rhythmically. So this is what we're here for. Okay, so now reviewing. With the metronome, I'm going to establish the time and the groove and the beat in the left hand. Then I'm going to add the right hand once I feel the beat. You have to really feel the beat. have to listen to the metronome, really listen to it. Notice I'm doing a little tricky thing there. Now the next one is this one. Now it's very easy to get off the beat at any time. So like, let's try this. See that? I'm trying to lock in with that beat in my left hand. And then in my right hand, I'm trying to play off the beat. See, 1, 2, I'm accenting the offbeat there. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 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 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. It's easy to rush. You know, I feel myself rushing. I always have to relax because I get into this and I get enthusiastic, and my enthusiasm makes me rush. And all musicians do that. We all rush, no matter who we are. Even the greatest musicians rush the tempo because they're just enthusiastic. You're enthusiastic, get into the music, and you start getting emotional about it, and you start to rush the tempo. You know, I mean, to be able to play on the backside of the beat, like Barry Harris or Ahmed Jamal, be able to play on the back of the beat is one of the great gifts of being a musician. If you can play relaxed, man, like. You almost have to think about laying back on the beat. See, I'm thinking about laying back on the beat, so I'm able to do it because I'm intellectualizing that I can play behind the beat like this. It's possible to get so far behind the beat that you are off tempo or so ahead of it. So like here's an example. You have to try to do both. You have to try to play on the beat, ahead of the beat, behind the beat. So I'm going to show you all three for that particular figure. I'm going to show you, like, let's start out with on the beat. Now I'm going to show you, let's show you ahead of the beat. Well, let's show you behind the beat, because that's less common than most of the time we rush. So let's go behind the beat. 3, 4. See how I'm not with it? See how I'm not synced? See that? Here's the syncing. Now here's behind the beat. See, I'm not in sync. Now here's ahead of the beat. I'm gonna go. Here's the beat. Now here's ahead of the beat. 2, 3, 4. See how it's easy to get off the beat? It sounds like I'm just putting more enthusiasm into my playing, but I'm actually going off the beat. Now, why is this important? Because you want to be a better musician. You want to play with other musicians. You want to be as good as you can possibly be. And that it means tempo. Means keeping in tempo, keeping in time, and being able to play in a band and being really solid. So now you want to watch my videos on using the metronome if you're having troubles with time, either just in playing or in coordinating the two hands. And that's going to take some work, because that is one of the major things that we have to learn as pianists and as musicians, is to have good time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please write to me. I'm going to wrap up now. Signing off from the Jazz Ranch, I just want to say adversity always leads to opportunity. And that means there is a bright future ahead. You know, opportunity means you have things to do that you might not have had before this all happened. Maybe you can spend more time with your kids. Maybe you can take walks. Maybe you can get into nature, read books. You know, you can do things like practice the piano or learn music. You can do things that you didn't have enough time for before. So look at the opportunities, look at a brighter future. Things will get better, trust me. And until next time, Hermie Dressel was all up there. He's up there looking down on us, and he's still saying, swing loose. And we'll see you next time around. Bye-bye.